Hello there, welcome to another video SwiftCat. In this video we're gonna take a look at deep linking in iOS. What's deep linking? It means a link from another app or even from a website to your app. While opening with Safari, the iOS will check if the universal link is registered to the domain associated with the link. Then check whether the app is installed. Another important feature we can say is send a message or a data to the app and also redirect to any page inside the app with that data. So let's gonna look in this video. Let's jump into it. In order to make it more clear, so what we expect at the end of this video is we'll check in the browser with a Safari ME. Let's type the link which is we need to redirect. So let's say deep linking test, and also with the name with let me check this as a customer detail ID equal to, and this is the value or the message which I'm going to pass it over, and plus enter. So it will ask open this page and deep linking test. Actually I have installed the app already, so it will open and redirect with that message displayed inside your screen in any page of the app. So that's we're gonna make this. In order to do that, I'm closing this and going to start a new Xcode project. Let's stop this as well. First of all, I'm going to create a new Xcode project here. So create a new Xcode project. It's an app. I'm just going to name it as deep link demo. Let's name deep linking demo, and the organization with the language of Swift, and click next. So I'm going to save it as in my iOS project folder. You can save wherever you like, doesn't matter. Let's create the project. Here we go. First of all, I would say that I'm not going to use here the scene delegate file. So let's comment it all the things. Either you can delete this over, or else you can just comment it over. Just simple. And in the application manifest, I'm going to remove this as well, and go to your app delegate. There are two mark functions which is related to the scene delegate. I'm gonna remove that as well, and let's make it here var window UI window, and go to your main.storyboard. Here you can see that it's having a view controller with one screen. So what I'm going to do here is let's make another view controller. Drag it over here, and this is our second screen actually. So what I mean to say here is when we run the app, it will be going to this initial screen, which means this is the initial view controller. So in this demo I'm gonna show the page which is inside the screen, any screen inside the app. So that's why I created a new view controller. So what I need to do here is I'm just making some label and buttons so that we can make it more clear while doing this. So let's take a label over here, and I'm going to give some constraints of that. Let's make size 24, and the font can be of bold. If you want to change the color as well, you can change text color. Let it be system red. Alright, and one more thing is I'm going to create here a button in the main view controller as well. So it's a button, and taking and dropping it over here, and let's name the button as next, and we will adjust the font as well. Let it be in the blue color. Okay, and let's make some constraints as well for that. Alright, so that's it. And one more thing is I need to give an IB outlet for this next button. So let's click and type it as an action for next button tapped. And another thing is I want to create a new view controller which is for this second screen which I created now. So now to make that, I'm just creating a new file with the Cocoa touch clause, and let's name that as message, customer message VC. Simply, you can name or whatever like customer message VC. Alright, and let's go back to the main.storyboard. We'll make this come over here. And what I'm going to do here is I want to create the class over here. So just click on this one and go to this attribute and custom class. I'm going to name it as customer message VC, which I created now. Just I want on the storyboard as well, customer VC. Then next thing is I'm going to give an RB outlet for this label so that watch the message when we pass from the Safari. I want to display it over in this label. So let's create an RB outlet for that. For the customer ID label. Alright, that's it, simple. Let's head over back to this view controller.swift file or as customer VZ, and let's make one more variable which is for customer ID. Let it be of a string kind, and let's take all these things, and inside the viewDid load what I'm going to write here is let customer ID label dot text is equal to the customer ID, which is which I created the var variable. Alright, so and next what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write some codes inside this view controller so that we can check whether this data is passing or not. So let's do that. vcontroller.zip file. Inside the next button action, what I'm going to do here is let's say let message equal to high cheap link, and this what I'm going to do is I'm going to write here the application shared path and all these things. So this deep linking is actually the app name with a path so that the app will know which to which location it's supposed to be there. So let's say it's in a path which I'm going to declare it over here. That path we're gonna use it in the Safari. So let's say deep linking demo with a path. I have a customer page which I created like now here. So let's say customer detail, you can name according to your project, question mark ID, and after that ID equal to a message, which means either from the Safari or else the message from the app within itself. Alright, then I'm going to give her application. So let's say let application equal to UI application.share, And also I'm going to do here is let app URL equal to URL with a string and a path, string and a path. And if that path is taken, this is the app URL, and I want to declare a web URL, which means in case the app URL is not valid, it will redirect to the another page. That's what it means. So simply that URL string with a path. So that string I'm going to just label it as HTTPS. Uh, let's say it's my site, blue mango global.com, and finally what I'm going to do is if application.canOpenURL, it's a scheme which is provided default by the Apple itself. Can open URL is the app URL. If it can open the URL, what it does, that's gonna declare in the next line. So application.open, and inside the open I'm going to do is app URL. I need to open that URL, and then with the options and also with the completion handler. So the options I'm just giving nothing else, and completion handler, let's say as nil for time being now. And the next thing is if it can open the URL. Next is if cannot. So if it doesn't have this valid path or a valid URL, which means that if the app couldn't identify this path, then I'm giving another option to the app, that application.open. It's a web URL. Web URL symbol. That's inside this next button tapped. And let's go back to this app delegate file. Here what I'm going to write here is there's a function default from the Apple itself for the URL scheme. So func application with square app, which will be of UI application, and open URL, it will be of URL kind, and it's having the options with UI application dot open URL option with option key, and it's of kind any one, and also at the last will be equal to of options. It's and I want to be of void kind. Sorry, I want to be of bool, which means it checks whether it's true or not, and it will be like this. Missing return. Okay, I would say that I will return a true value, so that it will return a true on that. Let's make more space over here, and a few more lines. It's showing something. Open options private, doesn't matter really. Let's say print URL first of all, so it will check what's the URL when it calls this function. Let URL components equal to URL components with URL, and this is the URL, and the next one resolving against base URL will be of true, and then I'm going to go the let host equal to URL components. This is the URL component dot host, which means the host value is nothing but after it's a path which we are declaring. For example, I'm giving the URL as I said here, deep linking colon slash and then the customer detail. This will be the host, actually what I mean here inside this app delegate. So I'm going to give the host, if it's checking whether the host is that, so that we can use multiple deep linking URLs, so that it will know whether where it should go, what happens, and based on the host value we give there. And then next is let's say print host, so that we can check whether we are giving the right value or not. And if the host is equal to, so I'm giving the host name as a customer detail, and if it's customer detail, I'm going to declare what it should do inside this. So I have here this host as customer detail, so I'm just checking with this over here in the app delegate whether the host is in with the value of customer detail. Then I'm going to declare that you want to redirect this page to somewhere inside this app. So that's what happening here. So UI storyboard of name and bundle name will be of main and bundle nil. All right, and then let's say let vz equal to sb dot instantiate the controller, instantiate the view controller with identifier, and also as customer message vz. So that's the bundle ID I have given here as well. Yeah, then so after this I'm going to pass the value which is getting from the URL. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do here is vz dot customer ID, so that's gonna be equal to, so that's gonna be equal to the URL components is the URL which we given in the Safari or else anywhere in the another app. Then will be a query items, which means the value which from the first dot value. So that's gonna return a value which I'm giving after this customer detail, which means the after the host name I'm giving a value to PostOver, so that you're gonna check or get it from there. And at last window dot root view controller is equal to vc. That's it, simple. Then what I'm going to do here is let's run this and check. So here I have the screen with the next button, and if I try to click that next button, what happened here is let's check. It will be a crash that okay, unexpected formula, optional value. The reason why here is we need to declare something else in the URL schemes or the build set infos. So let's do that. Let's go back to this deep linking demo over here. In the general, we are not going to do anything info. You can find here like URL types. So click that one, and there you can see a plus button. So click the plus button, and inside the URL scheme, what I'm going to do here is going to give a scheme name like a deep linking demo. Enter. So you have made this URL types with the URL schemes that deep linking demo. You can name that based on your project or the project name. All right. So now come back to this app delegate.zip file, and inside this UI application, I just made a mistake that it should be open URL options key, right? It should be open URL options key, and you don't need to be yeah. Now it should go. So let's run and check this. Next, okay. So let's go to the Safari and type that linking deep linking demo with hash customer detail, and the question mark ID will be equal to C by enter. So it's asking that open this page in the deep linking demo or not. So how it does is inside the weak controller we have declared that if the path is this and the host name is this, if the application can open URL, so it will be opening it from within the app. If it not, it will open this web URL which is having this website. Alright, so let's come back to this and click open. So it goes with the message which I've typed here as CBOY. That's it, simple. So if stop that, and if I try to run it again, let's check what does. Here I have this message as hi deep linking, and the path which I've set here. If I try to click this next button, it's saying that optional value is nil. The reason why it crashed is I want to make you that clear that if the message is having a space in between, either you need to give a I need to remove the spacing and run it again so that it won't crash, because it should be the URL should be in a specific format. It cannot have a space in between. That's why it means. So that's why it crashed, and this time it's not going to be crashing. So if I try to run it again, and now if I try to click this next button, it's the message having passed which is having that high deep linking. So if you want to give a space in between, so I want to type here as %20, and after deep linking, let's after the deep I'm going to go here %20. So let's run this and check. So there will be a space in between high and deep. Here we go. I will click the next button. Yeah, here we can see the space in between. Similarly, if I try to open with the Safari, and I'm giving here the app model URL, so which is like a deep linking demo with a path which we given as a customer detail, and let's say question mark yeah, and ID will be equal to, so am, and writing here am, and let's say %20 and shift get. Let's enter this. So it's asking to open this page in deep linking demo. So make sure that this app will, if the app is installed, only this pop will come like open, otherwise it will say that Safari can't find, or maybe invalid URL. So I'm opening that, and I have here this high deep linking. Let's close this completely, and then try to run this again with deep linking demo with this customer detail with a question mark ID equal to and %20 shift enter, open, and Swift get. That's it. So it's very simple that deep linking. By using the deep linking, we can post a message or a theta, and we can open that with the use of that app URL. We can redirect to any page inside our app. So that's it in this video. So if you like the video, subscribe and like my channel, and I'll be coming up with new game videos in the upcoming episodes. So stay tuned, and that's all in this video. Thank you, lads.